Hi there, I'm Jackie Ray, and we welcome you to Early Days, brought to you by our good friends at Prowse Chowne. Our guest today is a community builder. You know his business. You've probably worn some of his promotional items. He is Drew Schamehorn from Elite Promotional Marketing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jackie. Happy to be here.
Geez, I remember, well, as a curler, walking into Alberta Trophy back in the day to buy our curling trophies, which aren't as big now. And if you look at the beginning, that is where your beginning was. So tell us about it.
It certainly was. Well, I myself started in the awards business in 1980, having bought out my in-laws when they were retired. And Alberta Trophy was the company at the time. And my father-in-law had started it in 1952. And it was said to be the first actual standalone trophy shop, if not in Western Canada, but all Canada, because trophies used to be sold in jewelry stores. And of course, now they're all plastic and wood, but before they used to be all pewter and all hand engraved, and it was a different industry. But when I got into it in 1980, it was the advent of laser engraving and computerized engraving. So the industry was starting to change.
So how did you get into that business?
Well, I had worked for two companies in sales in the mid to late 70s, Johnson & Johnson and Tremco Canada. And I had a prior business to that in the backhoe business. And I was looking to get back into business again, and I had a job offer in Red Deer to buy into a paint store. And my in-laws said, look, we're thinking of retiring rather than go to Red Deer. Why don't you just buy us out? So I bought out Alberta Trophy beginning of 1980. And we were a staff of 3 or 4 at that time. In 1988, we added Elite T-shirt and then changed the name to Elite Sportswear and Awards, encompassing apparel and promotional products and trophies and awards. So
what are you born and raised Edmontonian?
No.
Where are you originally from?
I was actually I'm what was referred to as an army brat. I was born in Calgary. In the first year I moved to Edmonton. Then we moved to Germany for 3 years. Ended up in Chilliwack for 5 years. Moved to Churchill, Manitoba for 1 year. Kingston, Ontario for 1 year. Camp Borden, which is north of Toronto, for 5 years. And then at the age of 16, we moved to Victoria, and I finished my high school in Victoria, stayed there 1 year, and moved to Edmonton in 1974.
74. So, what was your first job moving to Edmonton in 74?
I had come here for a wedding, and I was painting houses in Victoria at like $600 a month. And I got offered a job at a wedding for $1,000 a month, a company truck, 30 days or $30 a day subsistence for food and hotel. And it was the advent of the oil and gas industry in Edmonton and Alberta, and lots of opportunities. And so I moved out here. I haven't been offered the job on a Monday. I moved here on the Wednesday the same week, and I've never moved back to Victoria. So.
And you haven't painted a house since?
No, I sure haven't. I hated painting. Yeah.
So now you've taken over the parents' business at Alberta Trophy. You've merged it into Elite Promotional Marketing, and it was, I would think, the one thing I have found with you is you have built some great partnerships that have helped build your brand.
Certainly.
Would you think that's part of your success?
Well, building a brand, I've been in the business now for 44 years, owning it 46 years in total, because I'd worked there for a couple of years prior. I always felt that it was important to give back, to get involved. And when you're locked up in a building for 8, 10, 12 hours a day building your building, you don't get a lot of interaction with groups and such. So I always took time to listen to the sales reps and that would come in and see me and talk to me, and they were kind of my ears out on the road in town, what was going on. So I would always try to get involved in upcoming events, sports events, and stuff like that. We've had so many in Edmonton. We're kind of the host of so many sporting events. So always try to get involved and give back where we can, and that helps build your business.
Do you remember a big win when you merged this all? Because also I remember your buildings have changed over the years and you've gotten bigger and bigger. What's your square footage now?
We have about 100,000 square feet.
Okay, so and what was Alberta Trophy?
We started 2,400 square feet.
Okay. Yeah. Started with, what did you say, 3 or 4 employees, and how many employees now?
No, now we're over 100.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're starting up, but you must have thought back, what was the first big win where we went, oh, this is going to be good?
When I first started, like Molson Breweries was 25% of our business. CN Rail was like 25% of our business. And then we had a lot of small businesses, that dealt with us. And there wasn't a lot of huge stuff going on in the awards business. And so that's what got me to look beyond the trophies and awards, because I saw a ceiling of what you could attain, and I wasn't wrong. But in the apparel business, it's endless, and promotional product business and that. So we saw the opportunity to move into those areas to grow the business, and that's what we've done.
And promotional items, they're changing all the time. You kind of got to stay on the forefront. I know we always check our work for we check your website to see what hot new items are coming up or whatever, because that's it. Everything evolves, doesn't it?
Right, sure does.
You talked about computerization earlier. That was probably a huge game changer in your business.
Oh, totally. Because at one time, everyone has seen the Stanley Cup get engraved, or the big golf tournaments and that, where it's all freehand. Well, all trophies at one time used to be done by that way, freehand. And then the advent of computerization came in, and then laser, and with a laser beam, and so it's really changed. It's allowed more people to get in the industry, because when it was a game of tool and die making type thing, it was very limited to very skilled artisans who could engrave. So,
and mass production of shirts. I just think to recently, I remember reading an article when Rogers Place was opening up, and you had a quick turnaround, I think, on about 20,000 jersey or orange T-shirts or something.
Like 22,000 shirts.
22,000 shirts, and how many days?
Orange and white. It was kind of within a week type thing, so it was a lot of shirts to be done.
Couldn't have done that in the old days, could you?
No, you couldn't. And we have automatic presses now, where you just basically load the machine, and they go around and they print, to where everything, 35 years ago was manual. So you dragged a squeegee across a screen. Wow. So it's so the computerization and that has allowed you to ramp up your production, certainly.
So now your business has grown, and Drew Schamehorn said to himself, I want to get involved in other things. And I know my former St. Albert Saints, I'm a born and raised St. Albert, and I know they're the Spruce Grove Saints now. I'm almost over it. But you decide to get into team ownership.
Well, what had happened, actually, I've lived in St. Albert since 1980 as well, but I got invited for lunch by a board member with the St. Albert Saints back in '97, and a great friend, Larry Burden, and said, Drew, would you consider sitting on our board? And I said, yeah, sure, and that was on a Wednesday, and we used to get 2 gazettes a week. And Saturday's Gazette came out and said, Saints recognize new owner Drew Schamehorn from Elite Sportswear buying the team. And anyway, so we took it over at that time, and moved it to Spruce Grove in 2004, because we couldn't get a rink built in St. Albert. We had the smallest rink in Canadian junior hockey with 600 seats, and 2 plebiscites had been turned down by both current and past mayor. So I had told them that if a rink deal wasn't imminent by the end of that particular season, I would look at selling it or moving it, and nobody wanted to buy it locally, and we had parties that wanted to buy it in Spruce Grove, so they asked us to continue as partners with them, so we moved it to Spruce Grove, and I think it was 2011, finally got out of it. But it was fun. It's about, again, it's about giving something back. If you want to make a little money in Junior A Tier 2 hockey, start with a lot, because every year we wrote checks to keep the team on top. So that's just how it is.
Did your involvement in sports change your approach to your business at all? Did you see some models where you went, okay, we could use this here at Elite?
Well, you know what? I always say sports runs this city in Edmonton. When I moved to Edmonton in '74, I knew one family here, and I seldom go anywhere I don't run into somebody I've met in the last 40-some years through hockey, through my business, but hockey and sport has been the catalyst for my business, to grow my business, and that people that are involved in sport and involved in coaching and stuff like that are often the same guy that's Joe's plumbing shop or whatever, and they're people that are involved in the community. So you tend to think alike when you're in sport and you're in business, and Edmonton is a great community for that.
Were you ever into sports yourself?
Yeah, I was. I played hockey. I never played pro hockey, even junior hockey. I played hockey 35 years. I have a hockey family. My father was in the Army, and upon getting out of the Army, he went to work for LA Kings for a number of years as a scout. And my brother, who was 2 years younger than I was, he passed away a year ago, but he was drafted in '76 by Detroit Red Wings and played Detroit and LA in minor pro into his 30s, 36 I think he was. So my family's always been around hockey, all sports, but mainly hockey. So that's...
Through sports and through, even though you said you're the Army brat, what I've always found about Elite and Drew Schamehorn is the fact that you're a relationship builder. You're about relationships. That's usually important, isn't it? In this type of business, especially.
It is, and I think even more so as you get older, you have more relationships, and we have 12, 15 sales staff, and often we'll have someone who I may know from past years of doing business with, and I'll introduce our new sales rep to that individual that has been a customer of ours for years, and it gives you the ability to reconnect with your old customers out there, introduce new customers, and it's all about networking. And if you want to grow your business, you have to you can't stand still, and you're not standing still. No, I think we do a lot of right things when you're one of the larger businesses in your industry. It's hard to emulate and copy the leaders that you might want to be like, and in some cases, some of the larger guys are in the billions of dollars in sales in our industry. Well, their business model is going to be totally different than that of ours in the city of Edmonton. But there are things you never quit learning. Marketing continually changes almost yearly, and I often get asked, Drew, I hear you on the radio all the time. Does it work? And you say, if you're going to take out one ad, it's not going to work. But if you build your advertising up over the years, it does work, and people do recognize your name. And I've always said, advertising pays; it doesn't cost, done properly. So
thank you for that. In my other business, I do appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, well, it certainly does. Yeah.
You've led your team at Elite. You've led Spruce Grove Saints. You've led, and you've been doing this since the 80s at Elite. What would you say are some lessons you've learned as to being a great team builder? Because actually you're selling team building things at Elite as well, but what do you do specifically for your team to ensure that that's a great place to work?
You know what, it's always a moving target. We of course recognize special events with the staff, birthdays, celebrations, anything like that. Each month we have monthly barbecues. We don't do enough for our sales staff, probably, for what it's harder to get them all together than it is our in-house staff that do production, etc. But it's a moving target as far as what you do for your staff and how you motivate them, and different people need different levels of motivation. Some don't need any at all. So.
Yeah. It's not like you want to give them a trophy.
Well, yeah. No, you don't want to give them a trophy.
And do you mind engraving your own trophy?
Yeah. So many people need different things, and
so it's personalized almost.
Very much so. Yeah.
Do you have some long-standing employees?
We have many we have staff with us for 38, 40 years. Many staff 15 to 25 years. Scary part about that is our industry it's always been highly influenced by immigrant sewers. So we've often had the Vietnamese community and Chinese community have provided us with workers for so many years that we advertise in the Chinese newspaper for sewers and stuff like that, and it seems harder and harder to get trained people in those type of industries now. It's just the way it is. So
interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you see of other challenges that you are facing right now besides labor?
We're on a good path right now. It's we're adding staff to our Calgary office. We have an opportunity to expand into the U.S. right now with one of our largest suppliers out of Kansas City. There's lots of optimism out there in some regards. I think it's important for us to establish ourselves in the U.S. because so many of our larger clients are in both Canada and U.S. So that'll be interesting going forward for us.
Right now, you're just in Alberta?
Just in Alberta, yeah.
So what challenges will you face as you look to the U.S.?
Well, the U.S. is a different market than Canada for certain. Although many of the same suppliers provide both Canada and U.S. There's such big players in the States that some companies will get one major company, and that's basically their sole breadwinner. That's not really where we want to be, but we have customers in, say, Kansas City and in Texas and stuff like that we can utilize the same sales rep to work these companies. So it's a good opportunity for us without having to invest in a lot of bricks and mortar, just with our existing contacts in the U.S.
I would imagine the online aspect of your business has been the big game changer.
It's a big game changer, but unfortunately not for us because we're not, at this point, our software is not set up to put an order in at 11 o'clock at night. So like you would a WestJet ticket. So,
that's gone really well.
Yeah, how's that working? But that's where you have to get to today is you have to become e-commerce enabled so that people can order whenever they want. So it's a matter of getting the proper software and systems in place to handle that. But that is certainly, if you're not going to be e-commerce enabled, you're not going to be a player in the market in my mind.
So as you look to the future for Elite Promotional Marketing, it's going to be that space and then also venturing into the U.S. Is there anything else in your crystal ball that you're seeing?
Well, that's my crystal ball right now.
That's a pretty big crystal ball.
It is, yeah, for sure.
Just recently, you were awarded the Junior Achievement Hall of Fame for your recognition, and you think you've been doing this for over 40 years now.
Yeah.
Highlight for you.
Well, I was actually going back to asking, what do you do differently, or what do you do to get involved? In the 80s, I joined the Board of Junior Achievement. I was asked to be on the board. And I sat, I even forget how many years I sat on it, but then as my own family was growing up and my business was starting to grow, I mean, you only have so many hours. And I would often sit on a couple boards at the same time. So I must have divested myself of junior achievement. I've always stayed involved to some degree, but to be recognized as a laureate was really quite flattering and humbling. So,
well, it's so deserved, just because I know what you have done for the community the last 4 decades, but it's also a business that's still moving forward. You're still forward thinking. And if people want to order some awesome promotional activities, how do they get a hold of Elite?
ElitePromotionalMarketing.com. Yeah.
Nice and simple.
Yeah, it is. So,
or you have the great store on 118th.
Yeah, we have a big store. And that's nice having a store, because a lot of people want to touch the stuff they're buying, and especially apparel. And so...
And it doesn't matter, small teams, big teams, you do them all.
No, for sure. We've done the Oilers for decades. The Elks, we do the basketball, the baseball, local. So... Edmonton is a sporting town, so... Yeah.
And you can still get curling trophies.
You can get curling. I golf one curling game a year, and I provide the trophies for it, so it's not a big game for us, but...
I believe that.
But the curlers are passionate about their sport.
That we are. Thank you for recognizing that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But thanks for coming on.
Thank you for the invite. It's a pleasure to come and join you today.
Our presenting sponsor is Prowse Chowne. As we conclude another episode, let's reflect on the journey ahead. Prowse Chowne is here to light the way for entrepreneurs, offering support from corporate services to real estate and beyond. Join us next time on Early Days.
Great.
Thank you so much,
Great.
Drew.
Thank you, dear. Thank you.
This series is proudly produced by the team at Road 55. Road 55 creates content that connects. For more information, visit our website at road55.ca.